You've probably seen one hanging around at the gym. It looks kind of intense, right? The weighted vest. It seems like a pretty simple piece of gear, but it turns out it holds some really surprising secrets about how our bodies actually work.
Yeah, you know the one. It's usually over in a corner, with all these little slots for small, heavy plates.
And the logic seems super obvious, doesn't it? You add more weight to your body, and boom, any movement you do is harder. The workout gets tougher, and you get stronger. But is that really the whole story?
What if I told you that that simple idea, more weight, harder workout, completely misses the most fascinating part of what's going on? Let's take a look at what the research actually says about how this tool really messes with your body.
Trust me, the science behind the weighted vest is packed with surprises, and it has these huge implications for everything from how you exercise to how you can age in a healthy way.
All right, so let's start with the basics. What happens to your body's engine when you just walk around with one of these things on? Well, a key study from the National Institutes of Health looked at exactly that. Researchers had people walk on a treadmill and kept adding weight to a vest. They were measuring two really critical things: heart rate, obviously, and metabolic rate, which is just a sciencey way of saying how much energy or how many calories you're burning.
Now, you would expect both of those to go up as you add weight, and they do. But how they go up is where it gets really, really interesting.
So your heart rate, it follows this super predictable straight line. You add a little bit of weight, your heart rate goes up a little bit. You add more, it goes up more. It's like walking up a nice, smooth, steady ramp. Simple. But here is the kicker. Your energy burn, the calories you're torching, it doesn't follow that smooth ramp at all. It follows what scientists call a quadratic curve. What that means in simple terms is that it explodes upwards. Adding the first few pounds costs you some energy, sure, but adding the next few pounds costs you way, way more. It's like climbing a staircase where every single step gets steeper and steeper.
I mean, the study's authors put it perfectly. The energy cost escalates non-linear. The big takeaway here is that a small increase in weight can give you a massive increase in calorie burn. So you're not just making the workout a little bit harder, you are fundamentally changing how much energy your body needs to do the work.
Okay, so this idea of loading the body has some pretty incredible effects beyond just burning calories, especially when you start to think about long-term health and getting older. So let's switch gears and talk about our bones.
You know, as we age, and this is especially true for postmenopausal women, holding on to our bone density is a huge challenge. The hip area is super vulnerable, and having low bone density there is one of the biggest risk factors for some really devastating fractures. So researchers at Oregon State University did this landmark 5-year study. They had one group of women do specific exercises while wearing weighted vests. The other group, the control group, they just stayed active but didn't do the program. And the results, well, you can see from this chart, they were seriously dramatic.
Let's just look at the hard numbers. The exercise group basically kept all of their hip bone density. They lost less than 1%. But the control group, they lost almost 4%. So the weighted vest program didn't just slow down bone loss, it pretty much stopped it cold compared to the control group.
Okay, so strong bones are absolutely critical. But what about preventing the falls that cause the fractures in the first place? That all comes down to strength, balance, and just being able to move well.
And wouldn't you know it, another study looked at exactly this. In just 6 weeks, that's it. Older adults who exercised wearing a weighted vest saw huge gains all across the board. Their balance got better, their leg strength improved, they could get up and move around more easily, and they even got better at something as simple as standing up from a chair. These are all the things that directly lower your risk of taking a bad fall.
Now let's get to what might be the most counterintuitive and maybe the most powerful finding of all. This is where the weighted vest stops being just a workout tool and starts looking like a solution to one of the single biggest problems in weight management.
Anybody who has ever lost weight knows the absolute agony of keeping it off. And a massive reason for that is something that happens to your body. When you lose weight, your resting metabolic rate, that's the number of calories your body burns just to exist, it often just tanks. Your body gets more efficient, which sounds good, but it makes it incredibly easy to put all that weight right back on.
And just to see how big of an effect this is, look at this number. In one study, a group of older adults lost weight just by dieting. After 6 months, their metabolism had slowed down by an average of 237 calories a day. That is a huge metabolic hit to take. But here's the amazing part. There was another group in that same study. They also wore a weighted vest for about 10 hours a day.
Their metabolism, it dropped by only 16 calories. 16! They basically prevented that metabolic slowdown entirely. And the long-term results were just as shocking. 2 years later, the diet-only group had regained all the weight they lost. But the vest group, they only regained half. That is a complete game changer.
So when you put all this stuff together, the effects on energy burn, on bone density, on metabolism, who is this simple tool actually for?
Well, the research paints a really clear and surprisingly versatile picture. For young, healthy people, it's a powerful way to just amplify your workouts. For postmenopausal women, it's a proven strategy to protect your hips. For older adults, it's an incredible tool for building the strength you need to stay on your feet. And for anyone trying to manage their weight, it could be the key to stopping that metabolic slowdown that so often sabotages all your hard work.
You see, it's so much more than just a way to make a workout harder. From our metabolism all the way down to our skeleton, wearing a weighted vest triggers this whole cascade of powerful, positive changes. And it really makes you wonder, could this simple, often ignored piece of equipment be one of the most effective and underused keys to staying healthy for life?